This is page 316. This is the guided practice for lesson 11.3. Read along with me. Number 1. Caroline ran 15 miles in 5 days. She ran the same distance each day. Write and solve an equation to determine the number of miles she ran each day. Well, what we don't know is the number of miles she ran each day. So that's what we're going to let x equal. So A says let x represent the number of miles she run each day. So let's go down to B. The number of days is 5. We know that because it says in the directions that she ran for 5 days. And the number of miles each day, we don't know. So we're going to make that be x. And that's going to be a total of 15 miles. So we're going to write total number of miles. And then C says draw algebra tiles to model the equation. Caroline ran blank miles each day. And so the way this would look would be, well, she ran a total of 15 miles. So we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And the day, the unknown, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these longer ones are the x tiles, and you can barely see a little tiny x there. And these shorter ones are the plus ones, and you could maybe squeeze in a tiny little plus sign there. But it doesn't really matter. The key is to notice that for every 1x we have 3. So this proves that x is equal to 3 miles each day. And you knew that too, because if you did 5x equals 15, if you divide by 5, you get x is equal to 3. The answer is x equals 3. Okay, let's move on. Numbers 2 through 5 says solve each equation and graph the solution on a number line. I really wish number 2, they really kind of messed this up. They shouldn't have done x divided by 3. They should have done x over 3 is equal to 3. And what is x equal to? Well, this is a division problem. How do you solve division problems? You multiply, and you'd multiply by 3, and you'd get 9. X is equal to 9. And the only statement that makes sense and makes that true is if x is equal to 9. So number 3, I'm going to make a little whiteboard for number 3 too. It says 4x equals 32, and 4 next to x means 4 times x. And so we solve a multiplication equation by dividing. So we're going to divide by 4. And 4 divided by 4 cancels, and so all I have left is x. And 32 divided by 4 is 8. X is equal to 8. And that should make sense, because if you took the x out right here, it would be 4 right next to 8. 4 times 8 is 32, so that makes sense. So put a dot on the 8. Cool, let's move on. Number 4 reads, the area of the rectangle shown is 24 square inches. So we know the area is 24 square inches. And I know the length is 6 and the width is I don't know. So what would this equation be? Well, the equation would be 6 times w. Maybe I'll back up a second. How do you find the area? We find the area by doing length times width is equal to area. Well, the area we know is 24. And we know the length is 6, and we don't know w. So this expression would be, or this equation would be 6 times w equals 24. How do you solve a multiplication equation? You divide. So I'm going to divide by 6. And I get w equals 24 divided by 6 is 4. So I get 4. If I take the w out here and I put a 4, that should make sense because 6 times 4 is 24. So that should be perfect. So if you write here the width is 4, that's not exactly right because it said, that's not what the question is asking. It's a two-part question. The question then says how much longer is its length than its width. And the difference between the length and the width is 2 inches. So in all, what should we have done? We should have gone 6 times W equals 24. We should have solved by dividing by 6, and we would then get that W is equal to 4. The length is 2 inches greater than the width. That was not a terribly hard question, but you may have not read it carefully, so if so, just fix it and make sure that you do the final part where you subtract 6 minus 4. Okay, number 5. Write a real-world problem for the equation 15 times W equals 45, then solve the problem. There's lots of ways you could go with this. You could do a money one, just like we did before. On the last time I made one up, I did a money problem. You could do one here. It could be as simple as, and I'm not going to do a money one on this one. I'm going to change approach, but you could do it could be as simple as you make $15 for every yard that you mow, and last week you made $45. So how many yards did you mow? You could figure that out. A different approach for this one would be something like you have 45 problems to do for math, and you can do 15 per day. How many days would it take you? That's the one I'm going to do here. So I'm going to say you have 45 math problems to complete for homework. You can only complete 15 problems per day. How many days will it take to complete the assignment? So then the equation would be, we already know it, 15W equals 45. How do you solve a multiplication equation? You divide by 15. 15 divided by 15 cancels. All I have left is W equals 45 divided by 15 is 3. Does that make sense? If I took this W out and put a 3 there, would 15 times 3 be equal to 45? The answer is yes. So what's the answer? 3 days. Alright, essential check-in question number 6 reads, how do you solve equations that contain multiplication or division? So you do the opposite. You solve by doing the opposite operation. There's a better word for opposite. It's called inverse. I'm going to use that word. The inverse. Maybe I'll do this. You don't have to write this if you don't want to, but I'm going to write opposite operation. For example, you solve multiplication equations by dividing, and you solve division equations by multiplying. It's really that simple. Alright, pause the video if you need to finish that number 6. But as you finish this up, you are now done with page 316. Excellent work!